Sorry about that. I turned the video on and turned it right off. So we're going to continue today, and we're going to be talking about Gladys. It's Ayl Allward. Allward. I'm not quite sure how to pronounce her name, but I've actually seen a movie about this woman. Amazing, amazing, amazing woman. Let's go ahead and dig right in. She was called The Real Small Woman. Unpacking the life of Gladys today is beyond the myth of the sixth happiness. And let's go ahead and talk about what that means. I'm going to just call her Gladys because I don't know how to pronounce her last name. If I did, it would be wrong, but I would think it would be Allyard, but I don't know. So I'm just going to call her Gladys. So her name is a name that is often associated with the romanticized portrayal of a missionary in the film The Inn of the Sixth Happiness. There was actually, I saw this movie. It's a really good movie. It was in the reality of a woman of profound faith and unwavering determination. Born in 1902, Gladys she was born in 1902 and she passed away in 1970. Her life as an evangelical Christian missionary in China was remarked by extraordinary courage, deep compassion, and a humble spirit that often stood in stark contrast to the dramatic retelling of the experiences that she lived on screen. So you'll notice, I'll talk about it a little bit later, that she never liked the video or the movie because it made it portrayed flowery, and that she was wonderful and she was very, very humble. So um, she had deep compassion, and if you watch the film, you'll actually see about her. But she had a very simple life, and in the essence of her humble attitude, really rubbed against the way it looked in the movie, the way she thought it did anyway. So we're going to delve into the authentic narrative of Gladys' journey, her ministry, her enduring legacy, and drawing a clear distinction between the Hollywood glamorized version and the actual true realities that she faced. Gladys May Allward, or however you pronounce her last name, was born on February 24th, 1902, in Edmonton, North London, into a working class family. Her father, Thomas John Allward, served as a postman, and her mother, Rosina Florence, contributed to the family livelihood as well as Gladys was one of three children. And Gladys experienced a modest upbringing, and due to financial constraints, she left school at the age of 14 to enter domestic service as a housemaid. This early immersion in the working world likely instilled a sense of practicality and a resilience that would later prove invaluable in the demanding circumstances that she faced in China. It is noteworthy that her background different significantly from many missionaries of the era who often came from more privileged and educated backgrounds. In her late teens, or maybe it was the early 20s, Gladys underwent a significant personal transformation, embracing Christianity after attending a revival meeting. This conversion ignited within her a deep desire to share her newfound faith with others, particularly those who had never heard or encountered the gospel. Inspired by articles in missionary magazines highlighting the spiritual needs of millions of China, Allward felt the undeniable call to serve in this distant land. This early commitment to a cause transcended her immediate surroundings and speaks volumes about her character. She was driven by this profound sense of purpose, and Gladys applied to the China Inland Michigan, not Michigan, the China Inland Mission around 1929 or 1930, hoping to formalize her aspirations for missionary service. However, despite her sincere dedication, she was rejected after completing a 3-month preparatory course. The organization, China Inland Mission, cited her lack of progress in learning the Chinese language and deemed her generally unsuitable for the rigors of life in the Far East. This institutional rejection, a significant hurdle for many aspiring missionaries, did not deter her. from her conviction. Her determination to reach China remained steadfast. And undaunted, she returned to her work as a housemaid and diligently saving her meager earnings and taking on extra jobs with singular goal of funding her own passion and her own passage to China. Hearing of an elderly missionary, Jeannie Lawson, in China who needed assistance, Gladys saw an opportunity to fulfill her calling through independent means. So the perilous, on October 15th, 1932, at the age of 30, Gladys Aylward embarked on her self-funded journey to China, departing from London with her Bible, a passport, train tickets, and the limited funds she had painstakingly saved. Opting for the more affordable inland route, she traveled via the Trans-Siberian Railway, a journey that proved to be exceptionally perilous. The region was embroiled in an undeclared war between the Soviet Union and China, and it added layers of danger to her already audacious undertaking. Her experiences along the way were far from romanticized adventures that are often depicted. She faced detention by Russian authorities, narrowly escaping what could have been a dire fate. Through resourcefulness and the kindness of strangers, she managed to evade those obstacles. At one point, even securing passage on a Japanese ship, her journey continued across Japan with the assistance of the British Consul, followed by another ship passage to the Chinese mainland. The final leg of her arduous trip to Yangcheng, Shanxi, I'm not sure how to pronounce that, province often involved travel by bus, train, and finally a 2-day journey by mule through mountainous terrain. This entire journey, spanning approximately 5.5 weeks, stands as a testament to her unwavering commitment and significant challenges she was willing to endure to reach her destination. The stark contrast between this arduous reality and the simplified portrayal in the film highlights the extent to which her initial dedication to the obstacles to overcome the obstacles, they were really very minimalized. So upon her arrival in China, Gladys joined forces with Jeannie Lawson, an elderly Scottish missionary who had been serving in China for many years. Together, they established the Inn of Eight Happiness. How do you like that? That's the name of it. The Inn of the Eight Happiness. Chinese name inspired by the 8 noble virtues: love, virtue, gentleness, tolerance, loyalty, truth, beauty, and devotion. This inn served as a dual purpose, providing a much needed rest stop for mule caravans traversing the trade routes, while also offering the opportunity to share stories from the Bible. Gladys dedicated herself to learning local language and immersing herself in the culture, eventually achieving fluency in Chinese. The inn quickly became a vital hub not only for weary travelers, but also for the burgeoning Christian community. This initiative demonstrates a practical and a culturally sensitive approach to missionary work, embedding faith sharing within the context of service and hospitality. The local authorities, particularly the Mandarin of that Chinese area that she was in, came to recognize and respect Gladys for her dedication and growing influence within the community. This led to an unexpected turn in her missionary when she was appointed the official foot inspector. This unexpected turn of events underscores her adaptability and her commitment to seizing any opportunity to serve God and the people of China. If you're not familiar, that was back when they had it was very much tradition to wrap little girls' feet so they wouldn't grow. And that was deemed unlawful, and there were still people who did it. And so she inspected, you can see that's pretty magnified in the movie. Very, very interesting, the things that those young girls went through. So she became the provincial governor, impressed by her dedication, even initiated a school to provide education for these children, because she started taking unwanted children and rescuing them and it became an orphanage, really. The inn that was for travelers became an orphanage. And they were impressed by the dedication and initiated a school to provide the education for these children. Over time, Gladys became a mother figure to over 100 children, demonstrating a profound love, unwavering commitment to their well being. This deep compassion and selfless dedication to the most vulnerable members of society became a hallmark of her ministry. In 1938, the fragile peace in the region shattered as Japanese forces invaded. This arduous journey, lasting approximately 12 days, though one source suggests 27, took them. She actually, it just skipped a part here. What happened is when war came, she gathered the children and had to move them. And she traveled with a bunch of orphan children across the country, across treacherous terrain, and she faced hunger and exhaustion and the constant threat of enemy soldiers. This remarkable act of courage and selflessness further solidified her reputation as, and it gives the name, and I think it means, oh shoot, I can't remember the name. It may come across it later. In 1949, with the rise of the communist government and increasing dangers for missionaries, Gladys returned to Britain and she gave lectures about her experiences. However, her heart remained in China, and after her mother's passing, she sought to return. Unable to re-enter mainland China due to the new political climate, she eventually settled in Taiwan in 1958 and founded the Gladys Aylward, if that's how you pronounce her last name, orphanage, continuing her lifelong dedication to children in need. Gladys herself later penned her own autobiography, Gladys Aylward, My Missionary Life in China, also known as The Little Woman. Offering her personal account of these extraordinary events, other biographies such as The London Sparrow by Phyllis Thompson and Gladys Aylward, The Adventure of a Lifetime by Janet and George Benge, further illuminate her remarkable story. In 1958, The Inn of Sixth Happiness, starring Ingrid Bergman, was brought to Gladys Aylward's story to a global audience. However, Gladys herself repeatedly deeply unhappy with the film's portrayal of her life, finding it a glamorized and often inaccurate representation of her experiences. The name of the inn was also changed from the Inn of Eighth Happiness to the Inn of Sixth Happiness. And Aylward felt that the film's misrepresentation of her ministry even damaged her reputation due to the invented romantic elements. Notably, the film's ending, which depicted her character leaving the orphans to be with the colonel, was also inaccurate, as Aylward dedicated her life to the orphans in Taiwan until her death. And so, as I did the research on her, I went through 100, or the research process went through 108 websites and different research places to check all this information out. So, despite the inaccuracies of the film, the true story of Gladys Aylward remains a powerful testament to faith and to courage and selfless service. She became a Chinese citizen in 1936 and was affectionately known as Awida. Her legacy continues through Gladys Aylward Orphanage in Taiwan, which she founded, where she dedicated the rest of her life. And she wrote her own autobiography, My Gladys Aylward, My Missionary Life in China. She was also known as the Little Woman, which I mentioned a couple times, and her other biographies continue to inspire readers with the story of a seemingly ordinary woman who achieved extraordinary things through her unwavering faith. Give me just a second. Let's see if I can find what her name meant. It meant something. What did it mean about her name? No, I can't seem to bring that up. I saw that a while ago, but I wasn't quite sure. I will see. Let me do one more thing and let me see if I can find it. I think it's just really interesting when we watch things on Hollywood, what they're really like, and what it ends up on the movies as. Um, Second here. See if I can find it. And so she in the movie, she's a short, dark hair with a Cockney accent, which is just very, backwoods London. And in the movie, of course, she was portrayed as a tall blonde with a Swedish accent. And her journey to China on the movie is just a train ride. And for her, it was overland and journey with trains and through Siberia and several different, it took a long time. They changed the name, and it means virtuous one. That's what her name means. Awaida means virtuous one. That's what they gave her Chinese name. And they suggested that she just left the children, and she didn't. She worked with them until she died, and she never had any romantic relationship with anyone. And in the movie, there is one. So until her death, her work with orphans continued at the orphanage that she began in Taiwan. So, very interesting lady. I think it's really interesting that she was denied being able to go, right? There's so many women that we're looking at that faced certain obstacles and they didn't quit, they just continued. And, I just think it's really interesting that we are so spoiled here in the United States and probably other places in the world, but I can't talk for where other people, how things go for other people in other parts of the country. I can only speak to us in America, but we don't want to be involved in any kind of obstacle. We don't want to hit any obstacle. And we think God should just pave the way for us and we shouldn't have any kinds of problems. And I'm just really encouraged to hear about these women and all the things that they suffered. I'm not encouraged that they suffered, but I'm encouraged that they were steadfast and that they persevered. And it's an encouragement to us today to continue on the work that they began. And I truly believe that, and when Jesus comes, he's going to come to an army here, a kingdom army of men and women, because without women, there's some really large holes in that lineup of warriors. So God bless you, and I will see you on the next day with this important theme that we're looking at here in our group. God bless you, and have a fabulous day.